On the morning of May 14th, 2025, the sky over Kashmir is calm. Too calm. At 30,000 feet, the air is thinner than a whisper, frigid and merciless. Every ridge, every crevice is a potential hazard, a frozen trap for anything daring to cross it. But today, that danger is not in the terrain. It is in the silence itself. Below the serene clouds, a highly militarized airspace hums with invisible tension. Nuclear neighbors watch each other like chess players waiting for a misstep. Sensors scan the horizon, radar sweeps silently through the sky, and somewhere, pilots tighten their grips on the controls. Everything is in place, yet nothing has moved. This is the calm before a storm nobody saw coming. The pride of the Indian Air Force, a fleet of cutting-edge Rafales, slices through the thin air, confident, invincible, unaware that an invisible predator is already circling above them. Engines pierce the stillness, but the storm they are about to face is not audible. It's unseen, waiting, and lethal. The question hangs over the Himalayas like the morning mist. How do you fight what you cannot see? While the Rafales soar confidently, invisible eyes are tracking their every move. Hidden behind clouds and ridges, the Pakistani J10C fighters lie in wait, guided by an AWACS early warning aircraft, a flying brain that sees everything, even what the Rafales cannot. The J10C is often underestimated in the West. Many call it a budget F-16, but that's a dangerous mistake. In reality, it's designed for one thing: lethal efficiency. Small, agile, and deadly, it thrives in the shadows of radar silence. The AWACS doesn't just see, it coordinates. Its network sensors tell the J10Cs exactly where to be and when to strike, without ever turning on their radars. This is called EMCON, or electronic silence, and it's a nightmare for pilots who rely on their sensors. To the Rafale pilots, nothing seems amiss, until it's too late. Then it happens. The first Rafale disappears from the sky in a flash. An invisible predator has claimed its prey. For the pilots in the remaining jets, the world shifts. Their instruments are green and calm. Their systems report no threats. Yet missiles are inbound, strikes precise, and the invincible machine feels terrifyingly vulnerable. This is the turning point. What was supposed to be a routine flight has become a nightmare in the clouds, and the flying fortress begins to realize that modern air combat isn't just about speed, altitude, or guns. It's about who knows what first, and who can strike without being seen. The stage is now set for a deadly duel between technology and tactics, one that will push both sides, and their machines, beyond what anyone imagined. The sky above Kashmir is no longer just air and clouds. It's a high-stakes chessboard, and the pieces are missiles. On one side, the Indian Rafales rely on the Meteor missile, hailed as one of the most advanced beyond visual range weapons in the world. Its ramjet propulsion allows it to accelerate over long distances, giving pilots the confidence to strike first, strike hard, and stay safely out of reach. But the Pakistani J10Cs carry a different philosophy. Armed with the PL-15E, these missiles are designed for speed and cunning. With a dual-pulse solid rocket motor and a hypersonic loft trajectory, they can accelerate sharply in the terminal phase, making them almost impossible to outrun. Altitude, terrain, and missile engineering all favor the J10C. Flying over jagged Himalayan peaks at 30,000 feet, the Rafales have blind spots. The PL-15E doesn't just exploit them, it dominates them. What was supposed to be a long-range engagement where technology guarantees safety turns into a deadly cat-and-mouse game. Rafale pilots fire meteors, attempting every evasive maneuver in the textbook. They climb, they turn, they deploy countermeasures, but the PL-15Es cut through the defenses with unrelenting precision. The green lights of confidence on the Rafale cockpit displays clash with the deadly reality outside. This duel isn't about dogfights or aerial acrobatics anymore. It's a battle of mathematics, physics, and networked awareness. The fastest, cleverest missile wins, and in this moment, the invisible hand of technology is firmly in favor of the unseen attackers. The sky that once seemed like a stage for heroic pilots now belongs to networked lethality, and every Rafale pilot begins to understand. In modern warfare, missiles decide the fate before the first shot is even seen. If Section 4 was about missiles, this part of the battle happens in a space you can't see or touch, the invisible electromagnetic battlefield. The Rafale pilots trusted their Spectra electronic warfare system, a digital shield that promises to detect, jam, and confuse any incoming threat. For years, military analysts called it nearly invincible. The pilots trusted it like a seatbelt. They believed it would save them. But the Pakistani J10Cs weren't fighting by the old rules. Their KJ-7A radar, designed by China, was something the Rafale's threat library had never encountered. It used frequency hopping, burn-through detection, and low probability of intercept signals, meaning the Rafale's sensors barely knew it existed until it was too late. In technical terms, the Rafale was prepared for a Russian-style fight, but the Chinese radar played by an entirely different rulebook. This is where unknown unknowns hit hardest. The pilots saw the green lights on their dashboard. They assumed the sky was clear, but the missiles were already on course. Spectra could jam threats it recognized, but it couldn't jam what it didn't even know was there. Psychologically, this was devastating. For a pilot trained to rely on precision, this invisible threat is terrifying. It's not just about being outgunned, it's about being outcomputed. The Rafale, the $100 million marvel, wasn't outflown. It was outsmarted by data, networks, and the quiet precision of unseen electronics. In the blink of an eye, the concept of invincible Western fighter collapses. The battlefield is no longer the clouds or the mountains, it's the airwaves themselves, and here, the J10C reigns supreme. When the smoke cleared, the consequences of that morning over the Himalayas rippled far beyond the mountains. This wasn't just a local clash. It sent shockwaves through the global defense industry, military thinking, and geopolitics. First, the financial impact was immediate. Dassault Aviation, the maker of the Rafale, saw its stock stumble. For decades, Western defense companies had enjoyed the aura of invincible technology. Suddenly, investors were asking, what happens when $100 million jets are outsmarted by budget-friendly opponents? Confidence in Western air superiority, once assumed, began to wobble. Meanwhile, China's aerospace reputation skyrocketed. The J10C wasn't just a regional player, it became a global disruptor. Analysts started reconsidering everything they thought they knew about fighter performance, cost-effectiveness, and strategic balance. Suddenly, the Dragon had teeth that could pierce the Lion's armor. For the Indian Air Force, the psychological impact was profound. Pilots had trained for years believing in their sensors, their missiles, their aircraft. Seeing those systems fail, not because of pilot error, but because of unseen network technology, was a hard lesson in humility. Other regional powers took notice. Suddenly, military planning and budgeting were forced to account for unseen electronic networks, not just hardware. And this isn't just about money or morale. The clash redefined military economics. A smaller, cheaper, mass-produced fighter, integrated into a network, could outperform the most expensive Western jets. The old paradigm, buy the most advanced plane and you dominate the skies, was officially broken. This section naturally leads us to the bigger lesson: the rise of networks over individual platforms, the strategic principle that would reshape air combat forever. If there's one lesson from that Himalayan encounter, it's simple. Air combat is no longer about individual aircraft. It's about the network behind them. The J10Cs didn't just rely on speed, missiles, or pilot skill. They were nodes in an invisible, highly integrated system, a web connecting AWACS surveillance, data links, and advanced radars. This is what military strategists now call the invisible net. Imagine a chessboard where every piece shares real-time information, anticipating threats before they appear. That's how the J10C, AWACS, and C team operated. The Rafale pilots, flying in isolation, were like knights charging into a board where the opposing pieces had already coordinated moves and traps. The implications are enormous. In the past, countries spent billions on a handful of top-tier jets, hoping sheer quality would win wars. Today, networked, cost-effective fighters can achieve the same, or even better, results without breaking the bank. You don't need 100 Rafales to control a region if 200 well-connected J10Cs can dominate the sky together. This is a paradigm shift in aerial warfare. High-tech marvels no longer guarantee victory. Integration, coordination, and information dominance decide outcomes. The East has challenged the West, not just with planes, but with systems thinking, mass production, and networking. For the world's militaries, the message is clear. Future battles will reward the team, the network, and the data flow, not just the individual hero in a fancy cockpit. The chessboard has changed, and anyone still playing by the old rules risks being outmaneuvered. The skies over the Himalayas that morning were more than a battlefield. They were a turning point in modern air combat. The Indian Air Force, with its $100 million Rafales and invincible confidence, faced an opponent that didn't just fly. It thought, coordinated, and predicted. The outcome wasn't just a loss of aircraft, it was a redefinition of what air power means. The lesson is stark. It is not the price tag that determines the victor, but the integration of sensors, weapons, and will. The lion of Western air dominance was challenged, and the dragon of networked, cost-effective air power proved it could bite. For military planners, engineers, and enthusiasts alike, the implications are global. From the stock markets to defense strategies, from pilot training to procurement decisions, the age of networked warfare is here. The question is no longer which jet is better. It's who can connect, share, and act faster across the invisible battlefield. So next time you hear about an air combat engagement, remember, it's not the individual heroics that decide history. It's the web behind the wings. For those who want to dive deeper into how networks are reshaping the rules of aerial warfare, subscribe and follow the full analysis series. The future of air combat isn't a single plane. It's an invisible, integrated system that changes everything we thought we knew.